Welcome to Manga. I am Agent Manga, and finally, I've been waiting for this for so long. If you guys have seen like my Record of Ragnarok explained video, then I don't really need to explain how much I enjoy this series. But I'm gonna spoil something. I didn't like this chapter. I like the series. There's only like 34 chapters now. I think there's like the 35th one is coming out soon. And honestly, this is the weakest one. In my opinion, it's the weakest one. Like, in the previous chapter, they set up all this stuff like Buddha and the samurai were going to face Loki and the 7 lucky gods. The main part of this chapter is just like diffusing all that. All this interesting stuff. In fact, this chapter is just... I hate it. I love this series. Oh my god, this chapter sucks. I'll just give you the rundown of the chapter. First, we get like both sides looking at each other, staring each other down. One of the samurai, one with the big meat cleaver, asks, I'm just gonna call him the world's greatest loser. I can't remember his name. The world's greatest loser, if he's okay from all his injuries that he got from his fight against Poseidon. This gets sidetracked. This whole chapter is basically defusing the fight. The highest amount of action we get in this chapter is like one of the 7 lucky gods, the one with the fish gun, just firing off a few rounds at Buddha. That's the only real action you get to see in this chapter. And we get Loki being all dramatic and saying that they're all gonna die. And just like, I wanna see a fight. That's the reason I read this series. For the fights. And it's just like, these characters, it's just building up for basically no payoff. It's just talking, no real combat, and just the guy with the fish gun, he gets in Loki's way and he just wants to shoot him because Buddha stabbed him with a thing. It's just... I can't believe this chapter. I hear like chapter 35 is coming out, but I hated this one. Love the series, hate this chapter. It's just like nothing basically happens. Like this guy with the fish gun fires off like 4 bullets. Buddha dodges them without looking and just shows how powerful... Well, this doesn't really even show how powerful Buddha is. It's just like this guy fires some bullets. It's not even a glimpse of how powerful he is. It's just... Although we do get to see like a little taste of how Loki fights, like by him summoning these like chain things out of his hands with hooks. Why? It's just... Before anything really happened, for me, this feels really short personally to me. I honestly thought, like, this chapter feels really short. It's just like talking about all this non-relevant stuff. Well, it might be relevant to the fight that would have happened. It's just the fight gets interrupted by Zeus and Odin just coming in and just saying, cut it out. It's just like Zeus punches the ground, they cut the fight out. It's just like these two... I still think that Thor is stronger than Odin, because if you have a title, you should hold to your title. Thor is the strongest Norse god, it was said, so I believe it's, yeah, Odin's a little bit older, he's not as strong as he used to be, and then Thor's always been the strongest. And the only interesting thing in this chapter, I will sing this series praise to the heavens. But nothing really good happened in this chapter. You saw, if you see this video, go watch my explanation on the series. It's over an hour long. And I hate this chapter. It's basically defusing everything. It's just, like I say, it even has something else that I hate about this chapter. Another complaint I had of this series that might have happened in this chapter, and it seems to have happened. It's not completely, but a little bit. It's just like, Loki doesn't really take anybody seriously. Not even the two guys who could be a threat. Everybody just dissipates, and it's just like Zeus does threaten like Buddha, and Buddha says basically, you are one of the few people who could actually threaten me, because I believe Zeus is the strongest god. Buddha, same tier of strength, but yeah, I'm saying Zeus is stronger than Buddha, but Buddha would probably give Zeus a pretty good fight. I don't know if like Buddha would be stronger than Zeus, if say he'd be a stronger fight than Adam, I mean, but like, there's also one thing that actually made me curious in this chapter, and just not made me, because when I finished reading this chapter, I felt unsatisfied. It's just the only thing that I actually was interested in this chapter is the scene where Odin is just smiling, and his crows are wondering what's going on. He's just got this malicious smile on his face, and it's just, and all the plants and all that around him just die. And then like Zeus goes back to the fight, watching it. We get to see like Shiva's arm, like one of his forearms, like this part of his arm, a big chunk has been taken out of it, and like we see Shiva heavily damaged and all that. Also, we do get to see like Raiden seriously damaged, but it looks like the fight did crank up a little bit, but this is... Why did you basically off-screen this fight? It's not like how... It's looked like these two are nearly done the fight. Like... It's looked like the fight's nearly over, and if they off-screen this fight, I will be pissed. Like, the chapter basically ends when we see both combatants really damaged. You better get a flashback to see the rest of this fight. Like, I am not taking this. The fight's not over, because if it is, this series, it's just lost quality in my eyes. It's just, Shiva. People were wondering, could he go up against Adam? Could he raid him and all that? We haven't even seen the power of Shiva, and he was supposed to go up against Adam. I will sing this series praises to the heavens. But this is basically a spit in my face. Love this series. It's just Raiden and Buddha. They both like have blood coming off their foreheads, so obviously like a headbutt happened. And they both look like they've been seriously damaged. Shiva has one of his arm, all this part of his arm gone, so clearly Raiden did something, but I just... I can't. I'm trying to figure it out. I love this series. Why are they off-screening this stuff? Why did they... Like, I would have been really willing to, like, see the fight between, like, the 7 Lucky Gods and the team of Samurai and Buddha. Oh, and Loki with the 7 Lucky Gods. I would have liked to at least see an all-out brawl, like, maybe one of the 7 Lucky Gods die. Maybe the guy with the meat cleaver sword dies. Maybe the world's greatest loser, he succumbs to his injuries. Maybe that. No, it's just... Please, somebody rectify this, because this is not satisfying at all. Love the series. Punch in the gut. So that's basically it. I'm sorry if you were hoping that I explain how great this series is right now. It's an amazing series, I will not deny that. Top 10 favorites for me. And I just found it really recently. Worst chapter of the series, by far. Like, every other chapter, it's either been fight, build up. In fact, every single one has at least had a portion of a fight. At least a portion. It's normally in a tournament, and even like the first chapter, man. It's just like setting up the whole thing. Everything's set up. And that's all good. It's a good first chapter. Everything up to this point. I was saying, yeah, the Raiden versus Shiva fight, that was a pretty, you know, it doesn't really have that big of an impact, but I could honestly see that if we see the fight build up, it could be a great fight, and the Buddha thing just, like, messed it up. Like, I was fine with the Buddha thing and all that, but I did want to see this fight, because Shiva, no real proof that he could have taken on Adam, but it looks like it would have been a great fight, seeing the quality of this series, but the two combatants are seriously injured. We better be getting a flashback to, like, what the fight was, because it looks like the fight's nearly over. And I personally was hoping that Buddha and Loki, all that would have stuff, that would have been happening while, say, the entrances to the fights would have been happening, and say those two leg attacks that Raiden did to Shiva, this would have happened in that point. Sure, you could have skipped a little bit ahead, hit through the fight, seeing some damage to the characters, but not this series of damage. They look like they've been through a really difficult fight, but we haven't seen it. I can't get over this. I hate this chapter. Worst chapter of the series. From an amazing series. I plan on doing my One Punch Man review later, but why? Now, this is Web Manga, I am Asian Manga, and I hope you had a good time. I didn't really.